Wilder still couldn't play. He's still hurt. Dan Marino to OJ McDuffie. You should trade him, Tom. He can't throw.
Yeah, waving.
He can't throw. Then Marino at home, looking again to OJ McDuffie. He can't even throw anymore.
Cutting.
Get rid of him.
Each of us has our own unique background and story of how we became a part of Chiefs Kingdom.
Our reach is far and wide with fans all over the world cheering on our Kansas City Chiefs.
Everyone donning the red and gold has figuratively signed that mutual agreement and come together for one common purpose.
For 76,000 of us at a time, to descend upon Arrowhead, man our stations, let out our loudest battle cry to the tune of 142.2 decibels, and make that stadium rock until our opponents beg for mercy.
We are unrelenting in our pride for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the Allies, Arrowhead Allies.
Playoff time.
Welcome in to Arrowhead Allies, everybody. I'm Noah Groniger alongside Clint Schweitzer and Shaggy Shane Williams. And we have a treat for you as we preview this Chiefs-Dolphins game. Get your hands together. Let's welcome the one, the only former Dolphins wide receiver, the great number 81, OJ McDuffie. Welcome to the show.
AKA the Chiefs killer. Hi, OJ.
Well, those my only two catches against the Chiefs you guys just showed right there. Holy cow, man. I'm scared already, man. You guys, that was awesome, man.
That's how we do it here,
That's
OJ,
how you
man.
do it.
That's
I
it.
like
And we're so glad to have you. We got this matchup coming up here. I guess before we get into anything, we're talking about temperatures, brother. -9, 0 for the actual temperature. What's the coldest game you ever played in? Was it at Buffalo?
No, I think New England. I was around 0 in New England one time, but Buffalo is always close, and the single digits. But I think New England might have given me the coldest game. But hell, I'm a guy from Ohio, play ball at Penn State.
Yeah,
I don't care about that weather, man. But I don't have to play this weekend. They do, so it's a little different for me.
Hey, OJ, I'm still the oldest guy in the room. I'm 2.5 weeks older than you, man. So you
barely beat me, huh?
Yeah, you're just a kid. Hey, I grew up. I saw you when you were #1 draft pick out of Miami. You were solid from 93 through 2001. You were a Chiefs killer. You were a threat. I want to go back to just for some Chiefs days for my own behalf. And I think the diehard vintage Chiefs fans would like to know, who was tougher, Dale Carter, Albert Lewis, Kevin Ross, or James Hasty? Who gave you the most fits? Which Chiefs scored?
Man, oh man, they are all tough, man. Dale Carter was really tough because he was so long and lanky, man. If he gets his hands on you, it's over. If he does that, Danny's not even looking at you anymore, man. So, and we share the same agent in Joel Siegel, so I got to give Dale Carter the nod for that reason alone, too.
Yo, what's up, man? What's up, OJ? Just thinking about you being a wide receiver, right, for your career, when you have to go and play in the type of weather that it may be in Kansas City this weekend, how does it affect your play, or does it have any effect on wide receiver play at all?
It definitely does. I laugh at some of these wide receivers that come out there with no sleeves on and trying to be tough in this kind of weather, man. One thing I always want to do is I want to take the weather component out of the game right away. So I'm going to make sure I have the amount of clothing that I want, the right clothing that I want to wear, and not be too heavy, obviously. But, I mean, it's funny because I know the Chiefs players are going to do it too, because when we went to Buffalo all the time, it could be 0 degrees, 5 degrees, and they come out in shorts and T-shirts and stuff. I got a full sweatsuit on, a beanie, a hand warmer. I've got everything going, man. So that mental part of it is the biggest part for these guys going into it. We got a lot of guys that actually played ball in some cold weather, but they've been spoiled down here in Florida, and their blood's thinned out. But it's tough on receivers. It really is tough on receivers because, a lot of times that ball gets a little slippery, gets a little slick. The quarterback has to deliver it the right way. And no matter what, man, do you want to block? Do you want to hit anybody? Do you want to get hit?
Yeah,
that's the difference in a game like that. But when it comes to the playoffs, though, if you're in the game and you're running around all the time, I mean, your blood is going. You got that, that fire in you, and the weather really shouldn't affect most of the guys that play most of the snaps.
Okay.
OJ, I got to ask you, because I'm still not over this. I know some of the guys here are, but I'm not. The Chiefs trade Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins. Lucky you. Do you remember kind of your reaction to when you heard the news? And if you can even still now believe that the Chiefs let a player, a generational talent like Tyreek Hill go?
Well, disbelief is always what you want to think about when you think about something like that. You know, I was, I don't know, I can't remember where I was, but I was out on the road when I got a call. And they said that, you know, we're going to get Tyreek Hill. I was like, whatever. And well, that he was available. And then when he was available, we got him like right when he became available, which was amazing to me too. You know, so that happened. It happened so fast. I couldn't believe that it really happened. You know, he's a generational talent, obviously. You know, he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and he's just he's a hell of a teammate. And he works hard, and so I was happy, honestly, to get a guy like that on our squad. We really have never. Obviously, numbers say that we've never had a wide receiver like that. You can talk about Mark Duper, Mark Clayton. You can talk about Nat Moore. You know, you can talk about myself. You know, we've never had, and honestly, no team really has ever had a guy like that on their squad.
OJ, can you just talk about when you came into the league in 1993, the Dolphins and the receiver group? Obviously, Dan Marino had been there already 10 years in Miami, which is crazy to think. And then you have like guys like Irving Fryer, Mark Ingram that are there in Miami, and kind of how that they were able to bring you along and sort of be mentors for you throughout your career at the beginning there.
Man, I was blessed, right? You know, you come from Penn State where we run the ball, 90% of the time. I think one game we had like 10 passes, one time in my Penn State career. So I always wanted to, honestly, I wanted to go close to home. So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I want to play for the Browns or the Bengals, or I want to go close to Penn State, which would be, obviously the Eagles or the Pittsburgh Steelers, or I wanted to go warm, right? So I got warm. I got Dan Marino. I got Don Shula. And then those guys right there, we picked up in the same year that I got drafted, and we got those guys in free agency. And so I tell you, man, they really took me under their wing. They showed me the ropes. It was just a lot of fun to be able to get in there and learn. You know, sometimes you're your first round pick, you got to come in, you got to perform right away. You got to, they count on you doing certain things. All they counted on me to do was return punts and kicks for the most part. Come in third downs on occasion. I got a couple looks from Danny, but Danny's a Pitt guy. I'm a Penn State guy, so it took a little time for us to gel. We didn't like each other at first, and so we got it figured out eventually, obviously. But those guys were great. I mean, I caught Irvin Fryer at the right time in his career. We know what was going on in New England, what he was going through there. We make the trade for him, and we go get him. And he was just just an incredible mentor. At his age, he was still running 4.4. Incredible work ethic, and just a professional. They taught me how to be a true professional. As a guy coming out of out of Penn State with no wife, no kids, a couple bucks in my pocket, I was looking to have some fun, but these guys were already mature in the league, and they took care of me big time. Mark Ingram the same way. Keith Jackson was a huge part at tight end. We'd gotten him the year before. He was like the first true free agent that was in the league, was Keith Jackson. And so all those guys really took me under their wing, and they really took care of me. They did take me up and throw me in the cold tub one time, to let me know that I was a rookie. I did have to buy breakfast and stuff all the time. I did have to bring food for the plane, but at the same time, they looked out for me the rest of the time.
Yes, indeed. You came. Those guys were great receivers, well respected. Him and the names you mentioned, especially Orlando Gadsden. What I want to ask about the current squad, A-Chain, tell me if this is a good observation. A-Chain reminds me a lot of Jamal Charles, the way his vision and his quickness. But Jamal Charles got better as a rookie. He was just real quick. Then his second year, he started to be explosive and became the Jamal Charles that he is. My question to you is, do you see the same similarity to A-Chain as Jamal Charles? And is Raheem Mostert likely back this week?
Yeah, Jamal Charles, what an incredible talent, right? I mean, you look at that guy, man. They do remind me a lot of each other with the speed, the quickness. I think Jamal Charles had such great vision as well. A-Chan is still a rookie that's still figuring it out. He hasn't even figured it out yet. He's going to get better. He's tougher than the size, the stature dictates. His lower half, his trunk is built really nice for a running back, and what his speed's all about. So I think that what A-Chan can do on the football field is still to be known, still to be decided. I think he's that talented. And then, Mostert, I mean, I hope Mostert's back. I was hoping he'd get back last week. We really need him last week to give Achane a spell. But you know what, Cedric? I mean, Jeff Wilson's really good as well, but they're just different type of backs. When you got backs that are still running 22 miles an hour, Jeff Wilson's probably around, 21 miles an hour. But you got the speed that these guys have. You can't replace that ever. So Mostert, we do hope to be back, and I hope that and we don't ever get any, even on our podcast, we work for the team. They still don't give us all the intel we want to have, that we need for our podcast. But I think that maybe he could have played last week, but they're worried about a setback last week. It's playoff time now. What kind of setback can you worry about now?
Right.
You got so much more time. If we don't win on Saturday, you got so much time now to get healthy. So I think he should be ready to go.
Yeah, and I hope he plays. You want to try to play a team at their peak.
No, you don't. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. You want to, everybody says that.
Win,
don't give me that, man. You catch a team that's a little beat up like we are. You want that, man. That's a blessing sometimes.
But the rook is so dangerous that you like, man, maybe, if they fall in love with Mostert, they might forget to give him the ball. So that can be a blessing in disguise. But I want to know, OJ, how do you feel about it? Because just, being on Chiefs Twitter and things like that, the game is exclusively on Peacock. I don't get why this is happening. I'm here in Los Angeles, California, so I'm going to have to – I don't have Peacock. I have to find somewhere to watch the game.
You have to open up that wallet, pay that $5.99, Michael.
That's it. Yeah, man, come on, man. I mean, $5.99. What you can do is go with the free trial, right? Okay. And then cancel before they start charging your credit card, bro.
And plus WWE Network's on there. You can watch every Hulk Hogan match that he ever had on Peacock. Let's go.
I'm a Stone Cold guy, Clint. But
he's there too, buddy.
How are they? What are the thoughts over there with the Miami fans about the Peacock exclusive game?
Yeah, they've been bitching and moaning about it, man. they have, man, bro. They already had to get rid of DirecTV and go with YouTube TV.
Yeah.
They had to go get all these different subscriptions they had to get for these different games. Talk about Peacock is one of them. I think it's like, honestly, I mean, if you really want to watch your team, how much do you spend going to the game itself?
Right.
I mean, for Chief fans, it's a little different because you're going to the game, you're going to spend a lot more money. For us, if I spend $7 for this game, that's way cheaper than going to Hard Rock Stadium to watch it. You know what I mean? So, but they're still bitching though, But most of the people that are bitching though don't live in Miami. Those are the ones that are having a hard time forking out more money to watch the game. Hell, the NFL, man, they're like the mob, bro. They make that money hand over foot, man. Amazon, Peacock, NBA, all of them are, everybody wants a piece of the league, man, because the league is that popular.
Man.
Absolutely. And OJ, I want to talk to you. You kind of mentioned those injuries. The offensive line's beat up. Obviously, Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert, we'll see if they can get out there. It sounds like they are going to give it a go at least. We'll see kind of how nicked up they are. The defense, you guys brought in Justin Houston. We know him well here in Kansas City since you lost Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb at the ends. Xavier Howard doesn't sound like he's going to be there. So I've always said all season that it's like Tua is a very good quarterback, but he needs everything really perfect. He needs Waddle out there. He needs Mostert. He needs that offensive line. I think with the concussions we saw last year, if he gets that quick pressure and with the injuries on the offensive line, he immediately goes down. He's learned how to fall, but he's not willing to stay in there and take that hit. And so I think Tua needs things perfect. So it's going to be tough sledding, I think, with those injuries come Miami here on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, we're happy he went through 17 games and played every game and pretty much every snap for us. So that was definitely a blessing for us. He does need a lot of things to be perfect. Like a lot of quarterbacks enjoy it. He doesn't create like Patrick Mahomes does. He doesn't create like Lamar Jackson does. He doesn't create like Josh Allen does. So things do need to be perfect for him. And, and he counts on, he counts on Tyreek a lot to be that guy. And when Waddle's out, you can tell that we're not as efficient as an offense. You talk about that offensive line. The offensive line is actually getting healthier than they've been.
True.
We got Teron Armstead who's back and he's been playing well. He had a rough game on Sunday against Buffalo. Austin Jackson, a guy we try to pretty much everybody's trying to run out of town, has been doing a great job. And what we don't realize about Austin Jackson is he has Tua's blind side because Tua's a left-handed quarterback.
Yeah.
He's been doing a heck of a job for us. Rob Hunt's back. Liam Eichenberg, who really is a swing guy. He's been playing center in place of Connor Williams, and so the guys. I mean, it's been a tough. We've had I think 12 different starting offensive lines this year. You think about that in 17 games, and we finally got some guys that that we counted on. 3 out of the 5 are guys we counted on at the beginning of the season, and so they've got to do a yeoman's job of protecting Tua for one, and hopefully open up some lanes for those running backs you guys are talking about.
Well, OJ, talk to us about this podcast that you do. It's called The Fish Tank. Just being so entrenched as a Miami Dolphin, someone that's in the Walk of Fame there at Hard Rock Stadium. The career that you spent in Miami, I think 4th all time in receiving yards in Miami Dolphin history. This podcast and just the fact that you were able to remain so close to the organization, coming from Penn State, probably didn't know a whole lot about the region, the city, the team. And then now here you are doing this podcast, and how gratifying has that been for you?
Oh man, it's been so much fun, honestly. And I appreciate you giving the podcast a shout out. We actually, my buddy Seth Levitt, who you see in this picture right here, came up with the idea. What it was an idea that, every time our guys get together, all we do is sit there and have locker room talk, telling stories, talk, remember this time, remember what happened here, remember what happened there. And so we said, hell, that'd be a great thing to get some of these alumni and let these guys get on and tell stories, because the stories are incredible. We're not an X's and O's podcast. We got Travis Wingfield, who does our Drive Time podcast, who's incredible when it comes to X's and O's. But when it comes to the older guys and guys that were part of ops or our head of security, or, we just had Dan Marino on last week. We just recorded a couple other guys this week, It's so much fun for these guys to get on there and just tell these different stories. So for us, for me coming in from Ohio and from Pennsylvania, I mean, I was not leaving Florida. I was not going back there.
Understandable.
So I'm glad they let me stay here, be on the team for 9 years, and then be a part of this podcast for the last 5 years. So it worked out perfect for me.
OJ, how we respect Vic Fangio. We know that he can slow down Patrick Mahomes. We've seen him do it when he was a Denver Broncos head coach. With Justin Houston just signing with the Dolphins today or yesterday, how much will Vic Fangio put on Justin Houston's plate Saturday night?
Yeah, that's a great question. I hope what he really does is, goes in and ask him how you guys run your schemes. I hope we get some intel from him first and foremost. I'm gonna tell you what, Vic's scheme is so tough that we've had guys in. We had Jason Pierre-Paul come in. He didn't get a chance. He didn't stay very long. Melvin Ingram's back. He was here for a little while, but it's kind of like our offense was. Our offense took over a year for our offensive weapons to understand what Mike McDaniel want to do, and I think the same has happened with Vic Fangio. So it's really hard for somebody to come in midweek and be able to come out there and play. Now, defensive end position might be a position you can do that at, because really all you're doing is securing the edge and going after the passer. So it might be a lot easier for him compared to guys that are in the secondary or playing linebacker. But sometimes our defensive ends drop out back in coverage, So I hope they don't have him doing that. So he probably has to get some snaps. When you lose, both our 2 more edge rushers last week, another linebackers last game, we need him to come in and play at some capacity. That's for sure.
OJ, so I have 2 questions for you. The first one is going to be about what was the thoughts of the players when you guys heard about or saw back when you were playing, when you guys saw Ace Ventura, the pet detective, and you knew Dan Marino was going to be on the game or on the movie. What was the teammates' thoughts like? Dan, what's going on?
Man, we were trying to get in it. What are you talking about, man? Man, we need to get some of those residual checks. What are you talking about? We love that, man. Yeah. It's so funny because Danny talks about that a lot, about how that made his acting career. He said that was his best work ever. He actually said on our podcast. I'm gonna tell you, man, that was my rookie year when when Ace Ventura came out and Jim Carrey came and he did his whole skit in front of our whole team, man. Fire Marshal Bill, everything he was doing on Living Color. I mean, it was just the most amazing thing. We were just like in awe because that's all we watched that. We watched in Living Color all the time. And so, when Danny tells a story about how Danny was on his way to the Pro Bowl when they pitched it to him. He was in LA, and Jim Carrey came in full character while they were having lunch. And Danny said, all right, we'll have lunch. So he came in full character, did the whole pet detective spiel on him. And Danny was hooked. He said, hey, it might be stupid, but we're going to do it. And next thing you know, all my kids, they don't even know Dan Marino's a quarterback. They know him as the guy in Pet Detective.
Hey, I loved it when he was on there, man. That movie's one of my favorites. Shout out to Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But to talk about the game, you talked about the pass rush with the addition of Justin Houston. What about? I'm trying to think. What do you feel about the secondary matchup with no Xavier Howard? Of course, you have Ramsey there, and I know everyone's talking about the Chiefs receivers and things like that. But what are your thoughts on that matchup? Who do you think has the advantage when it comes to the DBs and wide receivers for the Dolphins and Chiefs?
Yeah, being without X is going to be a tough challenge for us. It really is. Of course, Jalen Ramsey, he's that dude. I mean, and we'll see how they handle Jalen Ramsey in the thing. Kader Kohou's going to be inside for us. Eli Apple's taking the other side. Our safety plays been pretty good. Deshaun Elliott, Brandon Jones had a really good game, and Javon Holland, who was on Pro Bowl pace, got banged up, hurt both his knees in one game, and it's been trying to find a way to get back out there at the same level that he was playing at. Honestly, you got to give the advantage to the Chiefs all day when it comes to anything now. We're playing the champs. They've got guys that have been in the system, and you got Patrick Mahomes and obviously Travis Kelce. Those guys are, it's going to be a tall task for those guys in that secondary, and they've got to be so disciplined. You got to be disciplined up front in our front four and our pass rush and lanes. You want guys that can go after a quarterback, but you can't go after Patrick Mahomes like that, because if he escapes a little bit, he's still looking to throw the ball. You got to have guys hold their guys down for 5 or 6 seconds. That's a tall task right there, man. So, it's gonna be a tough deal. The best thing for us is to keep Patrick Mahomes and those wide receivers and Travis Kelce on the bench. We got to make sure that we control that clock. Grind it out. Hopefully, the run game is working. If we get into bad situations, we got to pass it. That's going to play in the Chiefs' favor. So the best way to stop those wide receivers and those offensive weapons is to keep them on the bench on those hot seats.
OJ, before I ask my question, I'm just going to kind of tag on to what Michael said and ask you about Kader Kohou's development, because early in the season, it looked like he was really struggling when he had to come in and was playing for Jalen Ramsey. He was sitting out and injured to start the season, but it looks like he's kind of found his footing and he's not getting eaten alive like he was early in the season. We saw Stephon Diggs torch him. So it looks like Kader Kohou's kind of found himself as the season's gone along.
Well, Kader's he's built for inside, and when he had to go on the edge, it became a little bit of a problem, and teams picked on him. So it's so funny because while Jalen was out and Kader had to take over, they were going at Kader. Now that Jalen's back, they were going at X, and so now that Jalen's still back, they're going at Eli a little bit more. But Kader he does a great job on the inside. He knows the scheme very well. He's physical. He likes to tackle. Doesn't mind mixing it up a little bit. But he's best served inside, and leave the outside alone, because that's anybody out there on that island, man. That's a tough deal for anybody, especially the talented receivers that are out there in this league.
For sure. And I got to ask you about Dan Marino. Patrick Mahomes is breaking all sorts of records. Every time he does, it looks like he's passing Dan Marino. And just a lot of people are like, oh, man, Patrick Mahomes has done it less games than Dan Marino did, and he's better than Dan Marino ever was. And I love Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to be one of the greatest ever, already kind of is. But you see people talk about the Tom Brady's and Peyton Mannings, and they have Super Bowls. They're in the top 5. And Dan Marino's getting pushed down this list. I don't think he gets the respect he deserves. So talk about Dan Marino and kind of teach the young kids watching this show about how great Dan Marino was and the things he was doing in 1983 when you weren't supposed to be doing those things.
How about that? 83, 84, over 5,000 yards passing. 48 touchdowns. It was pretty incredible. And then they kind of toned it down. Look, the game now is so different. You can't hit Dan Marino like you used to be able to hit him back in the day. You can't touch the wide receivers like you can touch them. You're like, now you can't even touch the wide receivers. I got beat up. I took a pounding, 5, 10, 15 yards down the field. It was illegal back then, but it wasn't called as much. It's just a different ball game, man. And I know that Tua and Mike McDaniel, when Danny was our captain in the last game 2 games ago, they were like, Mike McDaniel's like, we're coming for your records, Dan. Of course, man. These records are easy to. If you don't throw for 4,000 yards now as a quarterback, you're slipping.
Yeah, there's 17 games.
17 games on top of the rules. The rules favor a passing game. These guys are rarely under center anymore. It's always it's pass first and we'll run second. So
we're gonna have an MVP in Lamar Jackson with 26 passing touchdowns. Dan Marino in 1984 through 48.
48. Yeah. It's pretty incredible that and it took forever for anybody to even get up to those numbers. You look at Drew Brees and of course Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Those guys had some great careers and they started passing some of Danny's records. But man, the way the game is, I wish I could run routes still. I tell them I can run a now route. Just give it to me right now. I'll get you 2 yards, and I'll go first and the 15th.
That's right Saturday night. I don't know if you're your former team, but the Chiefs could use you out there.
Oh God, no kidding. Oh, OJ, we got to talk some uniform talk here because in the early '90s, growing up, to me that '80s. Early 90s Dolphin uniform, and there's you modeling it off beautifully there. I love the white on white. To me, it was the top notch. It was the creme de la creme. It was like the uniform, the jersey everybody wanted to have. It was so perfect. That helmet with the Dolphin with the helmet on, the stripes down the middle. It's just beautiful. They had to go and ruin it. I guess I'm old man, get off my lawn guy now, OJ. I'm like the guy, I'm like Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino these days. But the uniform that Miami had was one of the best of all time. And these days they messed with the helmet. They messed with the color teal, and I don't like it.
You sound like a Dolphin fan. They hate it. Our fans hate it, man. They really do. They clamor. They flood our president, CEO, Tom Garfinkel's emails with, when are we going back to the original colors, the original logo, For me, it just, it took me a little while to get used to the new logo.
Yeah.
And then the colors, they even softened up the colors on us a little bit.
Yes.
So I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Our white on whites are one of the most special uniforms that I've ever seen. I hate when we wear the whites with the aqua pants. That's one of my least favorite uniforms that we ever had. But yeah, our white on whites were great, man. And this is like, you look at that, it's our 75th year.
Yeah, 94.
Yep. And we came in 66 as an organization, but man, it was an honor for me to come in and be able to rock that. I wish I could find I had about 10 of them. My family's taking all my jerseys that I had that thing on there, But you're right though, man. That logo, that uniform was super special. Oh. Look at the Wilson. I forgot we even had Wilson.
Yeah.
Is Wilson still in the league anymore?
No. God, there was Wilson. There was Reebok. Everybody just had their own.
There was starter uniforms. There was all kinds of crazy Pro line. That's right.
OJ, let's get right to the game plan for the Miami Dolphins. They're going to come out. The high during the day, Saturday, is supposed to be 5.
Nice.
So it's going to be probably 0 below wind chill when the game starts. You're coming out as a wide receiver. Let's put you on there. You're the number 1 wide receiver, and you're going up against L'Jarius Sneed. What do you have to do to be effective to get him out of his game?
Ooh, man, for me, I couldn't play in today's game. I'm too slow. But first of all, that's the first thing. You know what, man? It depends on the game plan. These guys do such a great job of scheming to give guys an advantage. So that's going to be the first and foremost thing. It comes down to Mike McDaniel, scheming the game to give these guys an opportunity to be the best they can be. So Sneed's going to be a handful for anybody. So what we do, obviously, you see it with what we do with Tyreek. Tyreek can be anywhere. So it's hard to play matchups. It's hard to shadow him because he can be in the slot. He can be outside, inside. He might motion outside. He might motion across. He might motion out and around. It's all over the place. And so really what most teams are doing are playing a too high shell on us now and daring us to run the football. And we abandon the run sometimes when it's been working for us. They're going to take Tyreek out. There's no way the Chiefs are going to let Tyreek come back to Arrowhead and do damage. I promise you that. And so Tyreek's going to be the number 1 thing they're going to try to take away. What we need to do is look at the other guys. I was talking about this. I do the pregame and the postgame show for the Dolphins. And in the postgame show, I'm looking at the stats. Tyreek's got 13 targets. The next closest guy is 3, 2, 1. You know what I mean? So that has to change. They have to be able to distribute the rock to a lot of different guys and make everybody on the field work, not just Tyreek. So, I mean, the whole key for us is to put Tyreek where you can't find him, which is hard to do because I know right now in practice, there's some guy wearing number 10, in practice that's doing the scout team, and that's Tyreek, and they're showing all the motions and everything that that we're going to be doing. But at the same time, though, we have to get our tight end involved. We have to get Waddle back out there. We have to run the ball with Mostert and Achane, and that's got to be the key. We have to shorten this game somehow, some way in these freezing temperatures.
So, OJ, first I want to shout out somebody in the comments. They have a question for you, G Pick. He said, who was the best cornerback you went head-to-head with?
Oh, man. See, that's a great question because I get it all the time. It started off with the guys I see in practice all the time. Troy Vincent and J.B. Brown. As a rookie, they tore my ass up. They did, man. I was like, damn, man, am I fit for it? I'm a first-round pick, but I can't get off the ball. I couldn't do anything, But then when the guys that I played against, the best guys I played against, Ty Law was incredible against me. I played against him twice a year and even another time in the playoffs. You talked about Dale Carter and those guys, man. Those guys, man, they hasty. They gave me fits. I'm glad we didn't see them as often as we saw Ty Law. That's for damn sure. And then, later in my career, it's back in practice, I had to deal with Sam Madison and Pat Surtain. So it was like, man, oh man. So I was like, all right, put me a flanker. Let me go in motion so I can get these guys up off me. But for the most part, man, Ty Law's the guy that gave me fit. Jason Sehorn from the Giants, the one that knocked my blocker. He's the one that hit me the hardest. He caught me slipping one time, man, and I'm still looking for him, just in case. You know what I mean?
So, OJ, what's the confidence level for yourself for the Dolphins heading into this game Saturday night?
Yep. What's your prediction, man? What is it?
Man, I hate doing predictions, man.
Yeah,
I can't. It's hard to be confident going in there playing against the champs. It really is, man. 2 weeks ago against Baltimore, we had a chance to secure number 1 seed. Last week, we had a chance to secure number 2 seed and win the division. Now we're sitting at number 6, and we have to go to Arrowhead and play against the Chiefs. So I'm glad I don't have to. Well, I do wish I could play in this game.
Yeah.
I know that playoff check is pretty nice, and I know the salary's pretty nice.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be tough, man. It really is, man. I can't see it has to be a perfect situation for us to be. Look, the Bills turned it over 3 times, and we still couldn't beat them. So we have to play a perfect game in order to go in there and get a win, and hopefully, get another chance to play the following week, man. So it's gonna be tough. I mean, I'm just keeping it 100. I love my squad. I'm the biggest homer you might run into when it comes to my Miami Dolphins, but I got to keep it 100 when it comes to the situation for sure.
Okay. Absolutely. OJ, kind of last thing before we get you out here. You've been so gracious with your time. I want to ask you, you're starting 4 wide receivers. You get your choice. It doesn't have to be, we're not asking you the best or Mount Rushmore top 5, just your choice. You're running a 4 wide receiver set in all of history. Who you trotting out there, your team for those 4 wide receivers?
I like that.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. I like that. Well, the first one I'm going to put out there is Paul Warfield, who ended his career averaging almost 22 yards a catch. So you got to, nobody knows a lot about him. We ran the ball so much down here in Miami, but man, that might be an insurmountable yards per catch, that's out there, right? I will throw Tyreek in there now. Yeah. I have to because he's going to break more and more records, especially, he's over 30 years old. He's still running, 22 miles an hour and over 1,700 yards this year. 1,800. It's like incredible that he's still able to go out there and do that. You have to give Randy Moss a lot of love, because Randy, man, he was just a freak of nature and anything he did. Randy broke off every half of his routes. He just put his hand up and said, just hit me. I got it. No matter what, just he got that hand up. And then I'm saying, who would I put at number 4? There's so many really, really good receivers out there, man. And you know what? And some are my friends. So maybe I just leave it at 3 and then nobody be mad at me. Can I do that? Can I do that?
Absolutely, for sure.
I'll throw Jerry Rice in there for you.
You got to throw JR in there, man. He's he compiled a lot of great numbers, but man, was he incredible every single year. I'm gonna tell you this though. We played against the Raiders, in his latter career, Hillman and Tim Brown. Sam and Pat put them hands on him, boy. It was rough on those old guys, bro. It was rough on them. And I felt like, there you go. That's what they were doing to me too, Jerry. That's what you get.
We want to remind everyone about the Fish Tank. Go give it a listen. Great stuff. The stories, all you just said. You had Dan Marino on there. All the great Dolphins alumni you have on there. You and Seth Levitt, thefishtank81.com, and on X and Instagram at thefishtank81. So we want to make sure everyone who goes and checks that out because it's a great listen.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, man.
Thank you so much, OJ. This was a pleasure. Really brings it back, man. We grew up watching you here, and this is going to be a great one. I tell you, be somewhere warm, because just seeing the images from around Kansas City in the field and around, it's going to look like the town that dreaded sundown, buddy.
Oh,
so
man.
just put on a warm blanket, even in South Florida, just to watch this thing.
Well, man, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It's been a lot of fun, man. And, hopefully I get back on, next year we play you guys again. How about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, fellas.
Thanks so much,
buddy.
OJ. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck this weekend, fellas.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
Absolute honor.
That was
cool.
awesome. That was OJ McDuffie. And, there was some receivers from the early 90s that really stand out to me, because many people loved the position. He was the third receiver taken in that draft. Who was taken ahead of him? Sean Dawkins by the Indianapolis Colts wound up hurting us in that 95 playoff game. But gosh, you think about the Terrence Mathises. Guys, let's go back. Willie Davis here in Kansas City, J.J. Burton, the early 90s, Courtney Hawkins in Tampa Bay. Man, the 90s were just a bastion for the wide receivers. I felt like it completely galvanized and re-energized that position. And OJ McDuffie was one of those guys, and he was a Dolphin for 9 seasons. They went 5-0 against Kansas City, guys, during his time there, from 93, and then I think through 01 when he stopped playing there. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
He was a threat. He was solid. He was somebody you always respected. You knew every time you played against the Dolphins with, like you said, Mark Ingram, Irving Fryer, OJ McDuffie, along with the all-decade offensive tackle, Richmond Webb, who we had on Starcade Media right here, Arrowhead Allies early in the season. The Dolphins were always a formidable foe. And man, I remember going and losing to them in the playoffs in 90. And I remember going down to Miami again in 94 and losing.
Yep.
So we're going to get a little revenge this Saturday, but what do you think, Michael?
Well, the Dolphins going to get revenge is the thing. We got Melvin Ingram, Justin Houston, Tyreek Hill, Emmanuel Ogbah, former Chiefs, looking for revenge here in Arrowhead Stadium. I don't think they get it, but we got 4 familiar faces returning home here to Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah, they're coming in reeling, man. Like, so many injuries. It sucks because you don't want to see like so many guys hurt. You want to see some great football. You just want to see your team win, of course. But just to see so many guys hurt, it really sucks, especially for the deep. Like, they're all, like OJ said, they have to play a perfect game. Like, for them not to beat Buffalo, with Buffalo having the terrible turnovers Josh Allen had, like, it just shows that this isn't the same team that we saw earlier in the year scoring 70 against, Denver and feeling so great, about that Miami Dolphins team. But shout out to OJ for joining us, man. I remember OJ because I've been playing Madden since 95, 96. And one of my cousins will play with Miami. And I thought it was a cheat code. Like, why does this McDuffie guy continue to get open and catch the ball against me? So shout out to OJ.
That damn good. And we've got the return of Tyreek Hill. We've talked about it. 2 11-6 football teams, which is hard to believe. Miami looked to be running away with the AFC East, and all of a sudden we look up and they've lost the AFC East, and they come here. It's hoping to be Pittsburgh, but I don't really have a problem with it being Miami, because we talked about it over and over again. They're just too injured. I don't see how they get this win here on Saturday.
Yeah, and then we have this weather situation. Check this out. We got this stat. The Dolphins are 0-7 in games played where the temperature is lower than 36 degrees. Saturday's high in Kansas City. Well, on this graphic, it says 11. I believe since then, the weather forecast has gone down just a bit. There I have it up here. I just made that yesterday, and now it looks like it might just be 0 degrees for a high, -9 for a low. Michael, you've never seen anything like it, L.A., out there.
Nothing. Buddy. Yeah, so I can only imagine. That's why I had to ask that question to OJ, because how do you prepare for this? When it's really hot, you can maybe go into a dome, turn the heat all the way up and try to get to it. But when it comes to cold weather like this, like, how do you say, hey, let's go? Like, how do you mimic that within practice? And especially
dunk yourself in an ice bath in between plays. And then
it's being Arrowhead makes it that much worse, because everybody's been hearing what Tyreek's been talking about the Chiefs all off season long. We were so mad that we didn't play them early in the season, that we had to beat them in Germany. Now this crowd is going to be bonkers. The guys are still like, hey, they don't give a damn about the rest of the team. We cannot let Tyreek Hill walk out of here with a win. So it's going to be crazy, man.
That's funny you say that, Michael, because this offseason in Miami, we were interviewing Chris Jones. There is no video or audio evidence of it.
I need audio proof of this, Clint.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
unlike you, Michael, in the locker room after the Chargers game there, which was awesome work. But Chris Jones did tell us this. And this, of course, was when the game was supposed to be the regular season game. We, of course, didn't know our playoff future. He said Tyreek Hill is not coming to Arrowhead Stadium and winning this season. I guess that's point blank. It's not happening. And I guess we will see. There was some trash talk. You talked about it there. It did happen. And it's going to come to fruition one way or the other.
You got it.
No, go ahead, Michael.
No, just being there Sunday, you just saw like a confident team, like being in the locker room, like the guys were just really feeling good about themselves going forward. Patrick Mahomes, you even saw him in the locker room, talking to a lot of guys, and just they were just very jolly. And I was able to talk to Mike Edwards about the secondary, and someone mentioned, hey, it's gonna be either the Steelers or Dolphins, and it was kind of like, man, hey, we hope we get to see Tyreek because they don't
want to make sure Pickens.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but maybe they don't. But here we go.
Good luck in Buffalo, George.
That's incomplete, man. He didn't catch that ball.
Oh, he did.
No, it was a great catch, man. But
we'll be cheering for Pittsburgh Sunday morning.
We will.
Yeah,
let's go, George.
Let's go. Have a game. So I'm hoping that they can figure out. But hey, I want to give a shout out to Coach Reed really quick, right? So after the game, I do the presser. I walk over to the locker room, and security stops me. They won't let me in. I'm like, what's going on? I'm showing them my credential and everything. And then Andy Reid just gets off of like the little cart, and he like taps the guy like, hey, this is my guy. He was just in the presser with me. He's a good guy. He's coming with me. And I walk in with Coach Reed. So I'm like,
it is really cool unless you're on the other side of that, like Noah and I always are, and never have that happen, even though we are. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, we had Lee Steinberg say, hey, these are our guys. Let them in. They're credentialed. And she said, no, not so fast, my friend. Sorry, Lee Steinberg. Patrick Mahomes.
Michael, we've been on the opposite end of that. So I'm very glad somebody has a strike of good fortune when it comes to the Chiefs and media situations, because not to sound bitter, but we do not.
Michael, your interviews Sunday with Chris Jones, Andy Reid, and Mike Edwards were great, man. First class stuff, man. And I appreciate you sharing that. I retweeted it, man. You are our LA insider. We appreciate you going to the Chargers games and whatever West Coast games you can and getting that insight. Thank you very much, Michael.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. Chris Jones, shout out to him. He was real cool.
Shane for that. So guys, let's get to this. This stat is the craziest thing that I maybe have ever read with my own two eyes, and I put this research together, and it is in fact true. Michael, you were there. Mecole Hardman, 6 catches, 77 yards versus the Chargers. Blaine Gabbert at quarterback, MIZ, 8th-ranked team in the country to end the season. The second best receiving game of the year by a receiver other than Rashee Rice. That is real life. That is not the Twilight Zone. Shane Williams, that is real. What is that? What word comes to mind when you think of that? And I know the direction Michael's going. Oh, good job, Mecole. I'm going.
I think it's good for Mecole. It's good for him coming into the playoffs. Obviously, we're gonna, like I said, I did a show yesterday on my own Shaggy Shane show. These guys
clear that with us, Shane, but it's okay.
These guys who have had a terrible season. Kadarius Toney, MVS, Mecole Hardman. It's the new season. It's time for them to step up and deliver this month, not just Saturday night, the entire month. We can forget about their terrible season if they take us to the Super Bowl by making monster catches. If they're making clutch catches and advancing the Chiefs each round from Kansas City to Buffalo to Baltimore to Vegas, if MVS and Kadarius Toney are doing that, then we can let the heat off of them just a tad, because it is a new season. It's what you do in January where your legacy will be remembered. And we all need to embrace this storm because it is ugly. We got to do it. We got to embrace it. We can do it. What do you think, Clint?
I just think that Mecole has some value. He's got a package that he can run intermediate behind the line of scrimmage. We know that. Kind of intermediate sort of downfield, but deep downfield, the man is lost, cannot locate a football, cannot keep his feet in bounds. Anything deep downfield, we're going to have to find someone else to run because that's just not in McColl's game. We have to accept it, and we saw it twice. It didn't work out. So as long as we keep him in that intermediate to behind the line of scrimmage to at the line of scrimmage, I'm fine with using McColl.
But what's this game going to be? This is on the verge of being one of the coldest games in NFL history. So when that happens, we talked about some of the traditional game plan, with OJ McDuffie, but to me, it goes out the window in a lot of ways. I fear that the Dolphins may have success running the ball, and I think the Chiefs are going to have to commit to that as well. Patrick Mahomes today said, we're going to have to complete some deep balls downfield to win this game. I disagree with Patrick. I don't think that you do need to complete one ball past 25 yards to win this game. Your thoughts? What you got, Noah?
Oh, he's chosen me. Well, yeah. I mean, we saw what the Chiefs did in 1995. Now that is Steve Bono, not Patrick Mahomes, and that is Paul Hackett, not Andy Reid or Matt Nagy or whatever. Although I might rather have Paul Hackett than Matt Nagy, but that's a story for a different day. The 1995 game, Steve Bono was throwing the ball all over the place, threw 3 interceptions, tried to throw 4. So I think definitely this needs to be Isaiah Pacheco and keep things in the flat to different running backs, whether that is a Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Michael P. Ryan, into the tight ends, although Noah Gray had a tough day, had a lot of drops out there against the Chargers, and just some underneath routes. Like I said, maybe in McColl, this is a game that he can shine with some of those underneath things. But yeah, I think anything downfield, like Clint said, I don't think we need to see any of that.
Yeah, I think I hate I'm going to say this, but I think that McColl has a chance to be like one of the bigger X factors in the entire NFL for the playoffs, because we expect Travis Kelce to look much better. He got the rest, and he's Travis Kelce. We respect Rashee Rice to be, a guy that he is, about 6 or 7 catches, 60 to, 90 yards. But if McColl can do what he did against the Chargers, where they use him in a lot of intermediate stuff, because I believe no matter whether we like it or not, MVS and Justin Watson are the guys they're going to always try to run deep, because, they have speed and they're bigger bodies. But if McColl can be a guy that can play really well when it comes to the intermediate and give you that yards after the catch, because so far this season, it's been Rashee Rice. He's been the guy as the yards after the catch guy. So if you have him along with McColl, I think that, man, it's just going to open up the Chiefs' offense. And if the defense can carry over and the offense picks it up, it instantly makes the Chiefs the most dangerous team in the playoffs.
Michael, we were not disagreeing with you. I saw this comment come up from KSG 1989 that says, went to that game in 95 against the Colts. It was on Monday Night Football. For one, it was in 1996, January of 96, and it was not on Monday Night Football. So no, but, maybe
this isn't 2024 where we have Monday Night Football games in the playoffs. This isn't. That's not. We didn't do that back in the day.
We are heading there. And guys, is it weird at all that the first 3 games, as we kind of look at some of the matchups, all are AFC games, like not switching this up at all? It's a very strange format here. We've already talked about Peacock. That's a strange addition to this. And then it starts with 3 straight AFC games. I don't know.
Saturday, Cleveland at Houston, and Miami at Kansas City. And then Sunday, the slate starts off Pittsburgh at Buffalo. So it's
good. I don't need to watch anything after that. Perfect.
Exactly. I'm done.
For the Chiefs, it's a plus, because if they could take care of business, most people believe that Buffalo is going to win. So you get that extra day of rest. You get to watch that game and see what they're doing and go look back at the game where they were able to escape against the Chiefs. So it's a good thing. But, man, other than this game, man, my favorite game is going to be that Rams-Detroit game, because Matthew Stafford is going back to Detroit. The Rams are hot. They're playing really good football, offense, defense. They can pass it. They can run. They could be one of those sneaky teams that makes a playoff run this year.
Yeah. They have a Super Bowl pedigree.
Yeah, good point, Michael. My point is, let's talk about our Chiefs history. There's a good chance that Todd Blackledge will call the Chiefs game. Yeah. And there hasn't been. When was the last time the Chiefs had both number 1 draft pick quarterbacks in attendance at Arrowhead?
I don't believe he will be there.
Two worlds collided. He's going to. Okay, do you have the official word?
I do. I believe yes. It is. I did see I think Mike Tirico is on the call here.
I thought Mike Tirico was going to be with the Rams in Detroit Sunday night.
That's what I thought I'd seen. I could be wrong if anybody has that.
But if it is Todd Blackledge, I'm looking forward to him coming back and giving him a warm welcome to see what a true number 1 draft pick quarterback of Patrick Mahomes looks like.
Well, we should ask OJ McDuffie about that too, because Dan Marino, that was his draft, of course, famously.
Todd Blackledge, like I said, I was 13 when we drafted him, and there was a lot of hype, but damn it, John Malkovich kept pulling him. Every time he'd get in trouble, he would pull him. He was like a yo-yo. I mean, sometimes those number 1 draft picks deserve to come in and take a lumping. He started the second season in the league 2-0 with 2 impressive road wins at Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, but then the Chiefs went to 3-3 and they put Bill Kenny back in. I felt like that was Todd Blackledge's best opportunity at developing as an NFL quarterback. But we'll expand on that when we get Todd Blackledge on the show sometime.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sounds good.
Hey, is there a game other than the Chiefs game that you guys are really excited to watch this weekend?
Every AFC game, and then I guess I can be interested in Rams Lions. NFC just doesn't do anything for me. But
I'm shocked that the Tampa Bay and Philly game is a Monday night game, because week 2 it was a Monday night game, Philly at Tampa Bay. So when they said here's the situation, I said, well, no way they're going to have Philly at Tampa Bay be a Monday night game, because that was week 2. Well, guess what they did? Hey, that game sucks so bad. Eagles blew them out. Let's bring them back to Tampa Bay for a Monday night playoff game. I'm glad, because I don't want the Chiefs playing a Monday night game. But I just thought that was odd.
KSU got beef with you guys, man. See what you started? Noah and Clint.
Hey, I can't help it that I'm an idiot savant for the Chiefs and the Chiefs only. I can't change a tire. I can't do a math problem. I can't build anything. But I do remember every Chiefs game ever played.
Colts playoff game and not the Dolphins game. So that's just, you didn't realize we were talking about the playoffs. So just a little mix up there.
So we're sorry for calling you out, KSU. You're good, buddy.
Is that KSU for Kansas State? I hope not.
What beef do we have with Kansas State here?
Man, this is a Jayhawks and this is a Tiger show only.
It is definitely not a Jayhawk show. I will never that is not ever to be said again. Michigan,
Man, I love the
national
Jayhawks.
champions come from Michigan. Is there any Michigan men among us? Because that is a national championship earned Jim Harbaugh. And the better question is, has Jim Harbaugh coached his last game with the Wolverines? Jim doesn't like to
coach his first game for the Chargers.
Right. What about Raiders? I'm hearing Raiders. I'm
hearing everybody.
He said like something about his favorite color being black. So
yeah.
Hey, Washington Commanders, buddy.
Could the Chiefs add a certain Michigan guy back to this lineup? And the Shark, do y'all think that's a chance of happening? Because Chris Jones posted him.
So glad you brought that up, Michael.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
He keeps posting it. He's done it since he's been released by the Broncos and by the Seahawks. And now Chris Jones has posted this again. Hey, if the Dolphins could sign Justin Houston, why not? I want that face and that playoff Frank Clark just for the quotes. Man, we need the graphics. We need the engagement on freaking Facebook.
Better him than FAU out there is what I always say. Even if that's 3 snaps a game and a rotation, fine.
Yeah, he didn't look bad.
I don't think they're going to do it because FAU is a first-round draft pick and Mike Dana is having a solid season.
Yeah.
And Karlaftis is playing well. I don't know how you're going to get another defensive end and put him in the mix with everybody else you've already invested in.
Well, yeah, I definitely think Dana and Karlaftis would start. And then you got a Menahu, he's rotational and defensive tackle and defensive end. But even if it's just 5-6 snaps a game, I'll throw Frank Clark out there before I do FAU.
Yeah. And the type of guy he is in that locker room, like, can you imagine if they were to pull him out and just sign him on Friday and say, hey, we're going to bring him in? The defense would have another boost, just like, oh, our guy is back. So it'll be crazy. But I don't know if Chris Jones has that type of power.
Yeah.
In 2003, the Kansas City Chiefs' #1 draft pick was Larry Johnson, and he was inactive for the playoff game against the Colts. So if FAU is inactive for being a #1 draft pick, if he is inactive because the Chiefs signed Frank Clark, it'll be similar to Larry Johnson.
And there it is. Mike Tirico is doing the game with Jason Garrett. Not the most dynamic lineup. I like Mike Tirico.
What?
There it is.
He's doing the Chiefs game?
I told you.
Yeah, he's doing
Tirico
Sunday night as well.
Well, who's doing the Sunday night game between
them? They're doing double duty.
Rico and Collins.
Rico and Collinsworth.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Pulling double duty.
Sorry,
Thank
Todd.
you, John. Good stuff.
But
there. I
Todd
thought I had
Blackledge is doing the Houston Texans and Cleveland Browns in, right?
I don't know where he's at. I don't have
Well,
his
he's
I don't know
Peacock.
where he's
in
going
front
to
of
be.
me here.
He's a Peacock guy.
Well, I'm a
Todd
Peacock
Blackledge.
guy. That's my go-to streaming service. The Office, Leave It to Beaver, WWE Network.
Maybe Clint's calling the game. I don't know.
Todd Blackledge is going to do the Texans and Browns, obviously. So if you guys want to hear Todd Blackledge,
I do not.
I'm sorry. Watch
Hey,
that.
that's going to be an interesting game. I'm
Texans
not,
and Browns, right?
Yeah,
I'm not sure what to expect. I guess the Browns smacked them up a couple weeks ago.
The Browns with Joe Flacco, they're living out some kind of slumdog millionaire situation here. Keep it going. And if you're the Chiefs, you probably can't expect an upset with the Buffalo Bills, but maybe, just maybe, you could expect one from the Texans-Browns winner. If it's the Browns, they have a win over the Ravens already. The way Joe Flacco's playing, I don't know. I'd like to see it. And so you probably are going to have to go to Buffalo. But if you could avoid having to go to Baltimore in the NFC Championship game again like you did in 2019, you might want to start thinking about that as being your safety net. So lot to happen here. That's way off into the future. We don't deal in rumor and innuendo here on Arrowhead Allies. What you got, Noah?
I got prediction time because we're 56 minutes and we've got people. I can watch Browns Texans, but won't be able to watch the Chiefs game. Shaking my head somehow.
Poor Tom.
$41 or pay the $5.99 for Peacock. I can't make it more clear. OJ McDuffie is ruining our sponsorship with Peacock here, saying try the free trial and then so that's some not good news for us here since Peacock sponsors this show. No, I wish. But hey, I'm trying to get people to pay the $5.99. Maybe they'll be a sponsor next week.
No. The premium is $9.99, which is no commercials, and that's the one you want. That's the one I have, so I can watch WrestleManias 3 through 12 in their entirety.
So they never do a commercial during a wrestling match. You just get to watch it all the way through. And if they say they got a break for Sid Vicious and a jobber, you don't break. You get the whole match.
That's right.
Predictions, Shane.
Your Kansas City Chiefs host the Miami Dolphins 7 p.m. Saturday night Central on Peacock, unless you're one of the 78,000 fans in attendance or watching the simulcast on NBC 41. It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be rugged. It's gonna be rough. The ground game, I like Isaiah Pacheco to get 22 carries for 104 yards and a touchdown. The Kansas City Chiefs will win a low-scoring, cold running game, and Travis Kelce will catch a touchdown with 4 minutes left in the game to put the Chiefs ahead, and the Dolphins will go 4 and out. I like the Chiefs 17-14.
What you got, Mikkel?
Let's see. It's gonna be a pretty good game. It's gonna be exciting. The lead up is already great, but I just think the Chiefs are going to find a way. The Dolphins, they just don't look the same. The Chiefs were able to beat them 21-14 earlier in the year. I'm going to say 24-17. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to pound the ball. Travis Kelce is going to look like himself. McCole Hardman is going to have a few catches that's going to really help this team win. But the Chiefs are going to get this victory and get ready to travel to Buffalo.
Ooh, yeah. And on this show last week, I said, guys, I don't like it. The Chiefs are cooked. I don't like it, no matter who it is. A lot happened since then. Okay, Miami Dolphins are coming in here. The Buffalo Bills went from the 11 seed 5 weeks ago to the 2 seed now. The AFC is in somewhat shambles, really. When you look at it, Baltimore, we know what they are, but I don't know that we could trust them in the playoffs, guys. The Chiefs, we've all kind of said the same thing here, and I think we're all on the same page. I think I have the Chiefs winning 20-13. I don't think Miami. I don't think they have the mettle as a team, and just coming into this weather and to their injury situation. And we've all said that. I think that's what it comes down to. It's as simple as that. The Chiefs cover the 4-point spread. They win 20-13 and head to, as we've all said, Buffalo.
What you got?
What could go wrong?
Come on, Noah. Bring it home.
Tyreek.
I have Patrick Mahomes throwing 3 interceptions, tries to throw 4 to Kader Kohu in the corner of the end zone. Harrison Butker misses 3 field goals. Jason Sanders makes 1 of his 3, and the Dolphins win 13-10. Oh, wait, sorry. I'm reliving 1995 all over again. Missing and
I was about to
throwing 3 interceptions, but I've got the Chiefs 27-20 in this one. think it's a 7-point ball game. We give up our 20. I don't think they can give up more than that to this team with all the injuries. And I think the Chiefs have kind of found something in themselves in that Bengals game. Hopefully it's not that many field goals, but I got it 27-20. Chiefs take it, and we are headed to Buffalo.
Not my way to go wrong.
I can't wait. That's a matchup I want to see.
I do
we
not.
owe them. We owe them.
We're all excited. Come on, we gotta be licking our chops at what Patrick Mahomes can do on a road playoffs, man. You gotta be looking forward to that.
I can't wait for that.
Come on,
KT.
Clint.
Hey, look out for KT. He might make a play that's going to break or help the Chiefs.
Win the Dolphins game.
It's going to be either or. It's going to be either or. They're going
True.
to throw him out there, and he's going to do something that we're going to say yes, or we're going to say, damn it, get rid of him ASAP.
Thank you for joining us here on Arrowhead Allies. I'm Clint Schweitzer for Shane Williams, the Money Badger, Michael Matthew, and Noah Groniger. Thank you for joining us here.
Come on now.
Nitro.
We dropped those nicknames because there was some gimmick infringement from WCW. I'm sorry.
Mr. Electricity, Clint Schweitzer.
Thank you, God. I deserve that one time in my life.
Go, Chiefs.
72-hour water.